See, this just proves that he literally had a cat on the ceiling. That's the kind of shenanigans that goes on in Terry's office.
So I guess I should fill everybody in that's listening on the bullshit that's been my last
God.
However long. I don't know. What was the last thing that I mentioned when we were on the last time?
Your mother-in-law was in the hospital, I think.
Minnie had passed.
Yeah, Minnie had passed.
And the mother-in-law was in the hospital. And she finally passed away from complications of pulmonary fibrosis and COVID a few days ago. So, not fun. Got another sick cat, but steps are taking and weight is being gained, so positive things are happening in that front. So that's at least something.
Yay.
I'm sure there's something else wrong. The canvas gazebo in my backyard, the wind we had the other night just vaporized it. I mean, I walked into the back porch area and was like, wow, I expected, there would be a tear or something. That's nothing. There's nothing left of there. It looks like one of James T. Kirk's shirts after a fight.
Yeah, those were high tropical storm, low hurricane level winds with almost no rain. Just bash. Just came out of nowhere and just smashed everything. I got pictures from folks out in Tomball area with trees got just absolutely decimated. It was just like it was the worst windstorm they've had since it was worse than the hurricanes they've had recently.
Well, the Nicholas came through and gave that canvas awning a little bit of damage.
Oh,
and then this vaporized it. So
Nick stressed some scenes, and this little Charlie or whatever they want to call it just came in and it finished the job.
It totally did.
They tried to say, Terry, you should have bought a new canvas tent, but then I would have vaporized that one. So now you
probably
know you
so. Now I'll have to, when I get back from Vegas, I'll go ahead and order another canopy.
When are you leaving for Vegas?
Let's see. This is Saturday, a week from tomorrow.
Wow. We expect a report.
You'll get them.
Is it just you going? Is Donna going with you?
No, Donna's going with me.
Okay.
It's early enough in the year that she's pretty confident she's not going to run into any live poinsettias. Next year, though, they're moving it back a week. So she's already said that she's not going. So, that's going to be me the next year telling Paul, we got to bro it up to Vegas.
Huh. I might actually be able to afford that if we bro it as opposed to brew it.
Yeah, I think that we should avoid the brew.
We should brew and bro.
Ooh. That sounds kind of swampy. I'm not sure that I'm in for that.
Swampy? Oh, my God. Wow. Okay.
But next year, it's mid-November-ish as opposed to early November-ish for the start of it. I think I forget what the dates are. I think it's running like the 15th to the 18th or something ridiculous like that. But it'll be like this time I'll fly out on Sunday and fly back on Saturday.
Okay, so 6 days, essentially.
Yeah. Gets me there early enough to do some before show networking.
Hopeless.
So we've got time to plan ahead now. If you rolled over your funds, you don't even have to pay for the next year's show.
Yeah, I told them I couldn't go this year, so I did tell them that. Well, I'm hoping that by next year that won't be a problem. But again,
one way or the other, I'm going to be getting a hotel room, so that won't be an obstacle for you.
Yes, but will it have escorts? Notice I didn't say hookers. Notice I didn't say prostitutes. I said escorts.
And what exactly are you hoping to gather from these escorts?
I asked. I didn't say I was interested. I simply asked.
There will not be on my part.
However, it would be interesting to sit down at the bar and talk to one for a while.
I have to say that when the wife and I went out to the Bunny Ranch and chatted with one of the ladies there, that was an interesting conversation.
Yeah. I bet it's fascinating.
We can work out all the details. We've got literally a year to figure out what it's going to take to get Paul to Vegas.
For people to buy books. Oh, man. Please buy books.
And robots.
Well, you don't buy robots from us. We do nasty, horrible things to your
Well,
robot.
There's your problem right there.
No, we don't want to be in the business of selling robots. Trust me. No. Fuck that shit. No.
You could be the next Cyberdyne.
You see, the problem with selling robots is that you then have to be responsible for help desk support for the robot. You have to be responsible for having to train people to maintain the robot. And then you have to deal with customers who will do absolutely suicidal things with the robot and then expect support.
Yeah, we wanted to see if it could jump between building 1 and 2, and it didn't quite make it.
Of course not.
We were up on the 3rd floor, so we need a little bit of support to get this
only
thing
moves,
back working again.
The fucking thing only moves 5 centimeters per minute. You thought it could make that jump? Yeah. So
we were playing the Dukes of Hazzard theme, so we don't see why it didn't make it.
You think we need a longer ramp? Yeah, to the other building.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer.
But yeah, I mean, there's no way I want to be in that business. Fuck.
If only shit. Cooter had fixed it up.
Oh my Christ! It's just terrifying. It really is just terrifying. I'm still laughing about the Boston Dynamics robot with the sniper rifle that freaked everybody out, and then somebody does agricultural robotics said you could disable that thing with a bottle of vinegar and apple juice.
Yeah, as long as you get close enough without getting shot.
Yeah, but the point is that they are extremely sensitive to environmental issues. And that's absolutely true, especially for a legged robot.
For now, they are.
Yeah,
Give
for
them
now,
another 20 years.
Well, that's 20 years from now. You don't have to freak out now because there are definitely ways to stop these things. If they were to.
Sure, that's what you say now before the post-apocalyptic world becomes reality.
I said as of right now.
This is 2021. I think things are going to go bad.
Terry's prepping.
I wish I was prepped more.
He's prepping for stupid, and the stupid is coming.
This is true.
That's why I'm moving to Uruguay. I've had enough of this shit.
Oh, God. I have finished working. Oh, you going to do it? Yep, you did. Thank you so much.
Okay, which one was that?
Little girl.
Mm-hmm. I expect she'll be doing that again.
I'm almost done with the final read-through. I'll have it done mid-next week. Get it off to the publisher before I head to Vegas.
Which book? The co-author book?
The one I've been running on the co-authored book.
Okay. All right. So you did get it done. You've been editing. Living life editing.
Giving it a little extra love and passage there. So...
Now, you sent me a message over Discord yesterday or the day before about you were pretty brain blown except for editing. You weren't in the mood to do anything but edit.
Pretty much, yeah.
What did you mean by that?
I'm in the right mindset for editing. It's like making what do you call the trees that the Japanese make that are works of art? Bonsai trees. It's like that. I'm busy going through this, snipping, trimming, and shaping.
Now,
it's totally different mindset when I'm into the shaping of the story. Editing is a totally different mindset than writing.
When you say shaping the story, can you give an example? A spoiler-free example?
For me, it is taking the way I've said things and changing how I've said them slightly, changing it so that it's more concise, that the characters' voices come through a little bit clearer, and that the events seem smooth.
Okay. We talked about also in Discord about knowing which character was talking just by the words they were saying and how they were put together.
Yeah, the character voices in this novel have really come through a little bit clearer than I've seen them in the past. And that's partly, I think, because maybe I've given it a little bit more polishing, but experience too. It's one of those things you aim for as a writer to get to where if you were pushed to it, you could do without any of the tags identifying who was doing the talking, and the reader could still tell.
Now, how are you constructing that? Does that mean each character has a certain way they put the words together, or certain vocabulary they use?
I think it's more like an attitude. One character's grumpy. Another character is very outgoing. One of them is, I don't know, it's each one has a different flavor to their personality, and you marinate the dialogue so that their flavor comes through.
So you got one that's laconic, you got one that's gregarious, and then you've got one who's antisocial.
Yeah, everybody's got their own little points of view, their own little points of behavior, and I try to make it so that, for the most part, those personality traits come through in their dialogue. You can guess that the naval commodore speaks a lot differently than the scientist that he's working with.
Oh God! Yes,
he's an academic. He's a doctor, a professor, and so of course he has a quite different way of speaking. And
5 paragraphs to say what could be said in one sentence.
For him, it really is word choice. Usually, I dumb down dialogue. With him, I spiff it up a bit. I go for the more esoteric words because it fits his personality.
Yeah, that's where you can get the lovely shtick where you have one of the characters go, "In fucking English, please," or can you dumb it down? For whom? Bacteria? Can you dumb it down so bacteria can understand it? Because I have no idea what you're saying.
I forget what I was watching. I was watching a television show. I was watching NCIS last night, doing a little bit of catching up on that. And they had one of the characters left a message for somebody, and it was all broken up except they could only hear one word. And the one word made no sense for the character to have ever said. And they were like, who said that? This character said that? That's not even his vocabulary. And it's totally true. It's when you get to the point where you're writing it so that you are inflecting things so each character has their own way of saying things, their own cadence, their own word choices, then you've made it into that stage 4 of being able to write.
A choice of idiom. A choice of idiom is a very revealing part of it. Whether or not they're going to use something folksy or something more modern or trendy, or something that you as the reader understand the context, so to speak, but don't necessarily know what the fuck the character is talking about.
Yeah,
because they may be artificial words, artificial things.
Words. Or you can look at characters like from Star Trek: The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, Chief O'Brien. The man is like grumpy, glum, all the things that you would say about that. You can't hear him talk without saying
he's a dour Scotsman.
And it comes through in the way he talks.
I can see that. Is he Scottish or Irish? I can't remember which one.
He's Irish.
He's Irish. Okay. Is it dour Irish?
O'Brien is an Irish name.
I have to ask these questions because I always get confused because Scotty was Scottish. Big surprise there.
But I recommend that you don't, confuse the Scots and the Irish with each other.
No, considering I come from
not when
Irish
you're speaking
stock,
to one, okay?
Yeah, considering I come from Irish stock, believe me, I'm well aware of the angst that such a misdistinction might cause.
Another character that you could take from Deep Space Nine that is you could talk about the way they talk is you look at Garrick. Look at the way he talks.
I don't know who Garrett is.
Garrick, with a K at the end. He is the Cardassian tailor that's actually a spy.
Oh,
but everybody knows he's a spy. Everyone knows that he used to work for the Obsidian Order, or perhaps still does work for the Obsidian Order. But he is very glib, very outgoing. Just he's always got something to say.
If you have a large number of characters, that distinction is very important. It will actually make your life easier, because eventually you may have a scene where you got 7 or 8 of these assholes all having to say stuff at once. If you do have that scene, you need to rethink your life. I'm just telling you right now from experience, you need to rethink your life.
As I was saying, I think it's usually best not to get too carried away with having too many people speak at once, because that just can overwhelm you.
Yes, absolutely. But there are cases where you may have to have 3 or 4 people in the same conversation.
Like you're having a David Weber meeting.
Yeah, I was about to say, here we go, briefing time. That's when you got to have this bullshit. And I try and keep everything down to that level if I have to.
You segregate those type of meetings. You may have a dozen people in that meeting, but you focus between 2 or 3 characters at the same time. And then you have a distinct segment where you move on to a different part of the briefing and you change people.
Or you go to after the briefing and then have them recount what was going on during the briefing.
I'm saying if you've got to have everybody talk during the same meeting, then you've got to go ahead and segment it.
Yeah, I got saved from a lot of that pain and suffering, because a lot of the meetings, especially in Trident, are done over comms. So you don't see facial expressions, you only get voices. So there was no reason to talk about people's attitude, how they held themselves, because they literally could not see each other.
I personally think that being able to use those type of tags is useful.
Yes. In that particular instance, yes. It becomes very important, because it can get very confusing very quickly. Even if the characters have distinct voices, usually the responses are yes or copy or acknowledged or whatever. It's only
yours sounds like a very different sort of meeting than I have.
Well, this is yes. I think the meetings in my books have less stupid going on than yours. Mainly because my people are usually, at least in Derelict Saga, always one heartbeat away from being dead. There's no real downtime for these poor bastards. That also affects how they talk and what they're thinking. They don't have time like your characters to sit there in a briefing and go, wow, I'm really hungry for a ham sandwich. I could really use a ham sandwich right now. Damn it, the captain needs to hurry the fuck up and finish his briefing, because I need a goddamn ham sandwich. My characters don't have time for that shit.
I'm pretty sure I've never done that, but sure.
Oh God, it'd be a great delusional character. I'm so hungry, and the captain starts turning into a ham sandwich. Space madness. It sounds like a good thing to put in a book, right?
No.
Damn.
Never do that.
Okay, never do that. Oh, I got to do it now. Terry tells me not to do it, then probably it's a good idea. Probably. When you hear these people, do you hear how they would sound if you were to narrate them?
Yes, because my editing basically is fine-tuning the voices in my head. So I absolutely do.
Fine-tuning the voices in your head. Now you sound psychotic.
Maybe
Pretty
I am.
Scary. No, you're just a writer. You just have an imagination.
It's like the FBI guy going, hold it, wait for it, wait for it. Why is my cat keeping me from finishing my novel? There it is.
If you wait long enough, the solution will come to you. Jesus Christ. I always say, well, because I narrate, and I've said this before, the narration process really affects how I edit. And that's why it's so important, and I have not been able to do it the last couple of books, is finish the narration process before the book goes out, which I'm absolutely committed to doing next time.
Oh,
I don't give a fuck.
You've pretty well hosed yourself now.
Probably. But that during that process, I pretty much do exactly what you're doing during the editing. It is going in there and fixing, okay, this character would not say this, or they would say it differently, or this sentence is technically correct, the best kind of correct, but I hate the way it sounds, so I'm going to rewrite it because I have to speak it, and I know there's a limit to what my my stupid mush mouth can achieve as far as syllables. So there's humankind's got to know its limitations, and this particular human, he knows his limitations. That's all I got to say about that. But that can be the most fun time, is editing. And that also leads me, and this doesn't happen to you, I don't think, but it does happen to me, where I'm editing and go, fuck, I need to add 3 scenes here. Yeah, you don't have that problem.
No, I don't.
It's the best and worst of all worlds. When you're sitting there as a pantser, even an outliner, you get to that point and your brain goes, this is okay, but what would really be cool if, or as Terry likes to say, I'm bored.
That's a great metric to go ahead and know you've gone wrong. I'm bored. Are we there yet?
Let's see. Okay, I have these 4 people and I haven't allowed them to split up. Let's force them to split up. Now everything changes. Everything changes from a storyteller's point of view.
Sometimes as a pantser, I've discovered. Excuse me.
You've discovered yawn?
I've discovered those too. That occasionally I'll get to the end of a chapter, which is where I usually spring things on people, and I'll go, let's do something crazy, and just throw in something crazy that I then have to figure out how I'm going to wedge it into the rest of my plot. Okay.
I can see that, and I understand that, and I am not going to say I haven't done that.
It can cause a lot of interesting gymnastics after the fact when you insert strange explosion here. Who blew up what? Why did they do it? I have no fucking idea. What's going on, says the author.
Yeah, then we'll find that out later. There's stuff that at the end of Trident and Derelict that I did not tie up on purpose. They're there. They were not explained. There are other things that people thought I had dropped in Tomb that we finally tied up in Trident. 300,000 words later or whatever the fuck. But some of those threads that I put in there, I did not know what I was going to use them for. The radiation leak in black, I had no idea what it meant. It was just supposed to be an annoyance. And then when I was writing the end of the battle, it came to me what that was. And then everything else just blossomed out of that. Made my life very, very easy. Did not know what it meant. Did not know that it had to be there. Did not know why it was there. It just was.
My personal thoughts on those are they're lots of fun to try to figure out exactly what they mean, because as a pantser, I've usually got an open-ended plot going on. Everything is on the table. And then so I can have the police show up to arrest somebody. And you're like, why are the police here? Why are they arresting him? What the hell is this?
Terry has no plan. He's like the Joker, He just wants to watch a plot burn.
Sometimes, yeah. I usually tidy up after myself, though.
No, you don't. You leave a smoking pit. Actually, that speed leaves a smoking pit. Well, there's a couple of skinny trees that survive, but that's about it. That's my kind of story. Wow.
She's back.
I guess so. Words from the critic. It's terrible.
She's got something to say about you blowing up things, leaving a smoking pit.
You know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? How else would you, end the story? Can't end the story with people.
I don't do that things at the end of the story. By then, I already know what's going to go on. This is the middle where I blow things up.
The swampy middle, yes, where the I'm bored comes in because we have to do all these things to get through this. I have to take these characters from A to B to C to D to E to F to get them to Z. I know all the steps I got to do. I'm bored now.
Personally, I think the greatest thing to do is something like that is go A, B, C, H. Throw in something that you got later, and then suddenly everything is all chaotic. I've tried to figure out, well, what the hell does that mean? What do I do from here?
Well, yeah, you block off a way they thought they could go to do something. They can't go that way, and they didn't know it. They're blocked off by debris. They're blocked off by baddies. They're blocked off by environmental problems. Huh?
Bureaucracy.
So, yeah, okay, fine. So they have to go a different route. They have to go into the dreaded vents or the dreaded sewers or, outside the station or whatever else, which pours a bunch of complications on top of everything. Now you got a chance for more suspense. We have a chance for more people to get hurt, which is always fun. I mean, why read the book if nobody gets hurt? I mean, it's just not a book until
it adds an opportunity for suspense. It adds an opportunity to foil the characters temporarily and make them have to scramble to pull victory from the jaws of defeat on some middling subplot going on in the middle of everything.
And foil some of them permanently.
Well, that's where you turn them into log pig, but that's a totally different issue.
I ended up turning one of them into luggage and derelict.
Ooh. That's the kind of guy you want to have having alligator boots, and then you turn him into luggage. There's got to be some kind of deeper meaning there. One of the things that I've discovered with the whole editing process is that it really lets the whole book settle in your mind. When you're writing it, you're writing in discrete segments, and you're getting the things done. And it's not until you have a chance to go back through it a couple of times that the entirety of what you're trying to do can sink into your consciousness. Because you're not in the heat of the moment anymore. Now you're going ahead and getting everything fine-tuned the way you'd like it. Whereas when you're writing it, there's a real rush to get the words on the page.
There are occasionally some descriptions that I look at and I go, what the fuck were you on when you wrote this? It was like, oh yeah, now I remember. I couldn't figure out how to say this. So I left a bunch of gobbledygook for myself. So when I saw it, I went, oh, I didn't know what I was doing or what I was seeing or what I was saying here. But I had to go do this other thing. And I just knew I'd catch it in editing. And I did. And I went, oh, okay, well, I need to figure out how to describe this visually.
Do you ever leave notes to yourself?
Yes. All the time. All the time.
I do as well sometimes. Usually I try to solve something when I'm in the process of doing it, at least solve it well enough to work. And then I'll fine tune it when I get to the end. But sometimes I'll have to stick a note in the middle. And I don't use the comment function. I just put 3 slashes and write whatever I want to write, and then 3 slashes to end it. So I can search a document. Do I got a comment? Look for slashes. Never use them for anything else. Where's my 3 slashes?
All right, let me tell you all the reasons that's a bad idea.
Oh, no, here we go. Tell me, Mr. Developer, why this is a bad idea.
It has nothing to do with being a developer. If I was using Vi or Emacs, it'd be the same thing. That's how I would do it, something similar to that.
Only how I learned, man.
I would do a /*, just like a comment in C. Mm-hmm. That's how I would do it. The reason why it's a bad idea is you might get in a situation where you have to deal with somebody in Word, for instance, and look at those notes side by side, or deal with an editor who needs to be able to see that kind of stuff.
The notes will be long gone before any editor would see them.
I understand that. But there may be some notes that actually have to be dealt with by the publisher or something else.
And those are in comments.
And those
actual
are in
Word comments.
Yes. But notes, I put those in comments too, but Scrivener and Wave have actual note cards that you put together and call outs. So that's how I do it. But like, I don't feel like stopping everything I'm doing to go, calculate what portion of the speed of light you go at this gravity. I mean, it's just like, why the fuck do I need to stop everything I'm doing to go figure this shit out? I'll go mess with that later. How many atmospheres at 200 meters? Who cares? Just move on. Just don't even call attention to the number and just move on.
Somebody mowing my lawn. I was like, what is that? Is this like a swamp boat going down my yard? No, it's the lawn guy out mowing my lawn.
Those are the details you catch in editing. Those are the things that you're going, okay, I put this nebulous statement here, but I actually need these people to at least sound like they know what they're talking about. At least inform the reader about some fact or whatever, but you didn't have time to look it up and you didn't need to. You only need that shit at the end.
There's been stuff that I've written that I needed more scientific information about, and those are the kind of notes that I typically leave myself, trying to clarify those at a later point in time. Need to insert science fact here.
Insert big explosions here.
Something like that, yeah. Insert big revelation here.
I actually have put note cards in Scrivener down like that, where the document only has a title with a big exclamation point. Figure out what goes on here after this or what's in between these two things. And then when I get to that chapter, I go, oh, I got to do this now.
Yeah, I never leave anything like that for myself. And usually a note does not last past that writing session because I write when I'm offline. And then after I'm done writing, I'll typically go back and find whatever it is I needed to figure out and fix it before I move on to the next thing the next day.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Yeah. I'm a pantser. I want it done before I move on to the next thing.
Well, there are some things I know I may come back and say, I really didn't need that, or I can't figure this out until we get further into the book, what this would be. So I'm leaving a hole here to say, hey, when you know what this is, you need to come back and put this in here. We just work differently. We work very differently. We're writing about completely different things. And we have two different processes because of that.
For every writer, there is 3 different processes that they follow. Tell me I'm wrong.
There's only 3?
Well, minimum.
Minimum? Yeah, minimum. There's the I know what I'm doing. Oh, God, I fucked everything up. There's the I have no idea what I'm doing. Wow, this turned out really well. And then there's the, wow, my process is fucked. I should try something else because this isn't working. And then find something that's even worse.
and then there's the, did my word processor eat the last 3 chapters because I have no idea how I got here?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a problem, too. Was my brain just missing this day? Did I just forget this chapter? You can't just jump from chapter 47 to 49 and expect to get away with it. That's not going to work.
Feels like there's something missing
There's something missing here. What happened after this to get all these people in here? How do we end up at the porno party? How had this happen? We just suddenly ended up at the Bunny Ranch. Yeah, I probably should have gone there. Anyway,
we had an opportunity to go out, I guess it was last week, and watch Dune when it came out opening night. I guess that would be the 21st since it came out the 22nd. And I'm a heretic. I've never actually read any of the Dune books. For whatever reason, they didn't grab me when I was younger. I suspect it was the big sandworm on the cover. I was probably like, yeah, pass. Move on to something else. Didn't appeal to me for whatever reason. And I never got a chance to see either the other movie or the miniseries that they tried to do. So I went into this Dune movie without having any kind of real understanding of what I was walking into. It was a great movie, by the way. I loved it. It was a great movie. It was well done. And it explained things well enough so that somebody that was a complete newbie like me could understand it.
Okay, spice equal crack. That's all you need to know. There's a whole planet of crack.
Gross, boy. Get down. You smell bad.
There's a whole planet of crack, and the entire galaxy is addicted.
The one thing that jumped out at me that I had to look it up after the movie, just because I was like, what? You've got all these great names like the House of Harkonnen. You've got Arrakis. You've got all of these things, these various names. And then you've got Duncan, Idaho.
Yeah.
And you're like,
he does not belong. That name is supposed to jump out at you, though. I think that name is supposed to jump out. It did a great job.
The first time I heard it, I was like, did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Did he just say Duncan, Idaho?
He's a red shirt, isn't he? Isn't Duncan a red shirt?
Are you asking me that question?
Yes.
Sort of, but not really when you get longer into the series. I had to look him up so that I would know a little bit about him. You could make the argument in a way that Dune is actually about Duncan, Idaho. In a way.
Explain.
That is a lengthy explanation that I'm not sure I could do justice to. But let's just say that one of the things that's really meta weird physical about Dune is they've got the ability to clone someone and bring them back, and through various means take a way of bringing their memories of past lives back to that being.
I don't remember that being in the book at all.
Apparently it was used multiple times according to the Wikipedia page.
Unless they're talking about the Bene Gesserit.
No.
Okay, I don't remember that being in the original book.
How many of the ones past the original book did you read?
None.
And that's why you don't know about it.
Okay.
Because Duncan, Idaho does not make it out of the first book.
No, he does not.
Although,
I don't think he makes it past the first quarter of the book.
Although I'm sort of thinking that he may actually make an appearance again in the second half, based on what I read, but he apparently continues to make appearances going on throughout the other Dune books.
Maybe
after his death.
Maybe I'm thinking, okay. See, this is why I stopped reading after the first one. I just was kind of done, you know. It was just kind of like, I'm not really interested in what happens after this, because it just, okay, we had the fight, they won, and that's it. It didn't matter to me anymore, but I was like 14 or whatever. Might be different now, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about any of that. I just know that reading through about Duncan, Idaho, there's obvious a lot going on behind the scenes that I was completely unaware of while watching this movie.
Well, yeah, he's the linchpin, or was the linchpin between House Atreides and the Fremen to begin with, to start that uneasy alliance at the very beginning of everything. So yeah, he was instrumental in that. But yeah, I don't think he makes it too long.
I can tell you that in the movie, he doesn't make it past the end of the part one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he makes a glorious exit.
Oh, of course. Has to. Absolutely has to.
This is somewhat of a spoiler since we're now talking about stuff like this. So sorry, everybody. You know, we're spoiling this here.
I probably cut this.
When the Imperial troops show up to backstab House Atreides, they a whole pile of them try to take out where the kid is. And Duncan puts himself between the kid and him, and in a fight in a tight hallway, kills 19 of them.
Because he's using his shield, right?
They are too. He's just that good.
He's shield fighting through. Okay.
He's shield fighting through them, and he dies or gets stabbed and is left for dead, and then basically pulls the knife back out of himself and gets up and kills a bunch more of them before they finally take him out. So he has a glorious exit.
He has a pretty good one in Lynch's. It just is very short. As they show him just beat the shit out of a few guys, and then somebody shoots him with some kind of special block thingy, and he dies. Anyway, yeah. Was a badass. Was. Kind of maybe. I don't know.
So we'll see how that goes. They've greenlit part 2. We'll see how that comes out in 2 years.
Is it going to be 2 years?
It'll be October of 2023 before it comes out.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
Because they stupidly didn't film them back to back.
Yeah. Sometimes stupid is stupid.
Stupid is as stupid does.
At least the second one should be fast because they've already got the sets. They've already got the all the special effects for the world. They don't have to build all that crap from scratch.
One would hope. We'll see.
And again, we got a new technical director. All this stuff is shit. Redo it. Oh, God. No.
They'll bring in a whole brand new director. Oh, we're getting rid of everything. We'll go ahead and,
we're going to change the sandworms to unicorns.
Sadly, it could happen.
You see the Fremen riding this giant unicorn.
My personal thought was, after watching the movie, I want to know how his dad got that perfect beard because it was awesome.
I haven't seen. I don't remember what his dad looks like.
He's just got this beautifully shaped, dark, glossy beard, and you're like, God, that's beautiful. It's fucking beautiful.
Lots of beard oil, lots and lots of beard oil, and conditioner, and the fact that he has like a whole staff maintaining his beard while they're filming anyway.
See, they had some personality in that one too. One of the aides to his father was a general, and he was always dour and glum looking. And so everybody's standing there smiling, and he's telling the other guy, smile. The other guy's got no expression on his face. I am.
There was a big fight on Twitter about this, actually, saying that Dune didn't have enough humor.
Didn't have a what?
Enough humor.
I don't think that it was supposed to have humor.
Well, somebody said it touched off this mess, and I didn't look into it all because I was just kind of like, this looks stupid. And I'm glad I didn't say anything. But there was just, you can't have the humorous moments in dramatic stories or horror stories or suspense. And I'm like, the fucking planet are you living on? You absolutely need
can. But this Dune movie, it was in many ways very comparable to watching The Lord of the Rings. It was a glorious spectacle of scenery and people. And it had its moments of humor, just like Lord of the Rings had a few moments of humor in it. Was it a comedy? Absolutely, it was not. And neither was the other one.
No.
But there were moments of humor, sure.
Does he know about Second Breakfast?
There are apparently a few characters that, promote the whole humor thing. Personally, one of the things that they said in there, the son had to fight a duel.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl that he's having these visions of lends him her knife and tells him where it came from. This is from the great sandworm, blah, blah, blah. It is an honor to die with this in your hands. She's already written him off. He's gone in her mind.
Well, yeah. If he in the book, it's pretty clear he's dead. He's fucked. He doesn't know what he doesn't know what he's doing. He's never fought outside of the shield block before, so he doesn't know how to fight without one. And he's fighting against somebody who's a grown Fremen who's been dealing with these knives and facing off with sandworms since they were his age. It's not going to go well.
They didn't portray the boy as being that helpless in this. He was not without skills that could be transferred into this fight.
Correct.
His problem was, as his mother said to the senior Fremen, was that he's never killed anyone before. He's
never felt threat to his body. He's never
her words were, he's never killed a man before. Because in the fight, he'd get the knife up at the guy's throat and tell him to yield. And the guy wouldn't, because it's a fight to the death.
Right, because
he did it again.
He doesn't understand the concept.
He doesn't understand the concept.
So what happens? You spend all your life just play fighting with rules, and then you're dealing with people who don't deal with rules.
And then you got to kill somebody.
And then you got to break rules. Anyway, yeah.
Actually, I wouldn't say that's even breaking the rules. That was the rules.
Your rules, breaking your rules, or the rules you know.
It's if you haven't had an opportunity to go see the movie in the theater, do so before it leaves because you will regret it if you don't. It was glorious.
I'll wait till the second one comes out and watch them back to back.
That would be pretty awesome. I would do that. But just remember, it's almost 3 hours long.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's what am I going to be, like 53 by then? There better be a long potty break. That's all I can say.
Intermission.
Yeah, intermission for 15 minutes. Go refill your popcorn, your drink, go to the bathroom, You don't buy that soda, you rent it.
I like the way that they did the command voice. I'm not sure what they call that in the books.
The weirding voice?
Whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the words are for it. But the voice where you use that special mystical Ben Gesserit voice and you compel someone to do something.
Yeah, it's a weirding. I think it's what it's called.
The way they portrayed in the movie was very interesting. It just, well, you got to hit that right tone, the right whatever, and suddenly it's like the whole screen is almost vibrating as you're issuing the command and forcing someone to your will.
Yeah, it's a neat concept. And
there's a lot of people stabbing some backs in there. There's some Game of Thrones shit going on.
That was there is a ton of political intrigue in that world, in that universe, and it goes horribly wrong for everybody involved. Everybody's like, yeah, we're gonna screw the Atreides, and then they all get fucked.
Let the fucking begin.
Yeah, let the great fucking begin. It's like the new slogan is going around: fuck around and find out. Will they find out? You may have wiped us out, but we're going to do much worse to you.
It's like, what do you do to me, boy? Get down. Your cone smells bad. I got to change it. You can't get on me. You smell bad. He's mad.
Of course he's mad.
He horked on his cone, and I haven't had time to change it, so I'm not letting him get near my face because he smells bad. But it's a Star Trek Picardism. You may test that assumption at your convenience.
Yeah, at your convenience. Yeah, at your leisure, your convenience, whatever. Yeah. Basically saying, yeah, you go ahead and try it. Find out what happens. Whenever you got different planets involved in something, you're going to have politics. It's impossible not to. Just absolutely impossible not to. Which is something I've been kind of playing with a little bit in Derelict and Soul and Beyond, the uneasy relationship between Earth and Mars. I'm not following the Expanse model. I'm following something more colonial in nature, more colonial relationship.
Every time somebody says colonial, I think Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, well, you kind of should, in a way. But, basically, they're still Earth colonies, right? They're not their own thing. They're still part of Earth. Earth is still their owner, so to speak, is what I mean by that. They are the kingdom across the sea who basically run everything in the colony and the colonies, which puts a lot of stress on things. So that's a whole different political nightmare. And then when you go outside that, what about the people who live on space stations? I mean, the Expanse had that right. It's going to be very different societies that are going to develop out of that, very different cultures, very different ways of thinking. On Earth, air is not important, water is not important. You have those till we fuck all that up. Mars, air, water, probably going to be at a premium. Stations, definitely at a premium. And something you've got to have is beyond necessity. Everybody's got to have it. So it changes the outlook. It changes the importance. It changes what people will go to war over. Somebody out someplace like Mars may go to war over an ice ball because they need the water. They need it more than a space station or, say, the Earth does. And maybe that ice is worth that much to them that they will go basically commit piracy.
Ice pirates.
Never saw that movie. Just Just the trailer was enough for me to say that looks too stupid for me to waste my time.
I watched it when I was younger. I couldn't tell you anything that happened in it at this point in time.
Which probably means my assumption it would be shit is, dead on. If even Terry can't remember anything about it, not even.
I don't remember what happened last week. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, but your long-term memory is usually pretty good. I don't
know. There's a lot of things, a lot of books that I've read, a lot of movies that I've seen that I could tell you very little about these days.
That's because you're a squirrel. You just don't really, your brain is probably going 90 miles an hour while you're watching stuff and you're not hardly paying attention to it.
Sometimes, yeah.
You're just there being a drone, just going, wow, look at all the pretty colors.
Wow.
Wow, man. Yeah. Mm. That's you. That's definitely you. The fuck were we talking about before you threw us off the rails again?
You were talking about ice pirates. You were talking about people stealing ice and colonialisms and politics.
So yeah, the Game of Thrones aspect, it's always going to be there. I mean, anytime you have people from warring factions suddenly thrown together to fight against a common goal or reach a common goal, Enemy Mine with who's in that?
I couldn't tell you the actors, but I know the movie you're talking about.
Yeah, what's that guy's name? Shit. Anyway, great movie about this very kind of thing. Two completely different species who want to kill each other being forced to get along to survive. And it brings into that the clash of culture, of propaganda, of everything they've been taught about one another and all the bullshit that entails. And it's a good example of how you can have those extremes and be foils for one another and still make a really good story out of it. Bring a lot of attention to the relationship and everything that they do, and the stakes are really, really high. And if they don't both give it their all for whatever reason, they're both going to die.
You think you could ever put together a story as convoluted and complex as Dune? I don't think I could.
I don't consider.
I don't think I could put something with that wide of a canvas on there.
I wouldn't call Dune convoluted.
I think I would.
Why would you call it convoluted?
You've got the various aspects at play here. You've got the Bene Gesserit manipulating things behind the scenes, trying to create their heir.
I think you meant complex, not convoluted.
I use those two words to represent very similar things. You've got the Emperor moving House Harkonnen off of Dune just so that they can move Atreides there and then stab them in the back to get rid of them with House Harkonnen and the Imperial troops. And then you've got the Fremen and their own, how they're different than everything else. And they've got a lot going on behind the scenes that is not apparent at first glance either. Just not knowing anything else about this, I can already see the chess moves going on behind the scenes. There's a lot at play going on there, and I'm not sure that I could do justice to that kind of story.
Well, if you think about it, it's a matter of action reaction, right? The thing is, the wild card in Dune is the Fremen themselves, because nobody except House Atreides has ever gotten to know them or even attempted it. So House Atreides goes in there and breaks the ice with them, and we start seeing some of the culture stuff behind. But that society has been there forever because they've always lived underground. They haven't been driven underground or into the mountains or anything else by anybody. That's where they've always lived because they live with the worms, because it's part of their culture. So trying to take them on and trying to move them politically one way or another is absolutely ridiculous. It's like fighting with the desert people over gold. They don't want gold. That's not important to them. Water is important. They'll go to war over water any day of the week. Gold, who gives a shit? But if it's something so important that they absolutely have to have it, then that's when things change a lot. And if you don't understand that the certain resource that you're going after is that important to their culture, you're going to be in for a shock when you come in thinking, oh yeah, we're just going to take over. No. It's not going to work that way. It's not going to
One of the reasons that I can't write a story like that is because of my pantser nature.
Yes, you would have to change the way you write.
I would have to, because there requires to write a story that complex. It's very much like a bunch of gears working together and moving different things at different paces so that everything is lined up the way you need it to when it's supposed to be there. And that's not how my brain works.
Well, there's two ways to do that. Okay, there's say you write everything from, you write all the Paul Atreides scenes. You just write Paul's story. By writing Paul's story, you know where he's got to go. By knowing where he's got to go and what's got to happen to get in there, you can then extrapolate or find out what the complexities are on the outside to force him into where he's going, or where he needs to go. So you could figure it out that way and work from in or out, right? And if you have a book that's mainly focused on one character, I think it's probably the easiest way to do it. But you can also work. I know there are people out there that come up with a grand outline and they've got the whole goddamn thing in their head before they start word one. How much of that outline survives? I have no idea, but I know there are folks that do this who can think through all the crap that you're talking about and find it.
More power to them.
Yeah, more power to them. I wonder if some of the authors that have spent so much time not putting out books is because they just cannot find a way to make the pieces fit.
My process is more eliminating parts. If I can't wait to find a way to make something fit, I just eliminate it and I move on without it.
That's a healthy way to do it. That's the sign of an experienced writer, knowing when to just say fuck it and move on. I think that is one of the hallmarks. Because sometimes that scene that you thought was so important that you're having so much trouble with, just cut it and see what happens. And if you need it later, you can put it back in and maybe you'll know how to do it then. But sometimes you just got to skip a scene.
Yeah. Sometimes when I start writing a book, I've got a scene in mind that's toward the end of the book. That's one of the things I'm pushing towards. Roughly half the time, that scene never materializes.
Yeah,
the story has changed so drastically before I get there that it no longer makes sense to write that scene.
Or if you do write it, the characters that are there have changed and the actual consequences change radically. Even if there's just that one part that you wanted to put in there, it ends up going in completely or taking everything in a completely different direction than you first thought, because the story is grown.
The one book that I started out with the ending in mind when I started writing it was Empire of Bones. I knew what I was going to do to Kelsey at the end of the book. And I had to do that if I wanted the series to continue on the way that I wanted.
Right.
Other than that, it's all negotiable.
Everything with the Black has been pretty negotiable. Derelict, not so much, but the Black, yeah, everything in the Black has been negotiable. That they except for a couple, well, one ending wasn't negotiable, but all the others were negotiable. Who would die, who would live, all that was negotiable throughout the entire books, which was fun. And because I was dealing with an antagonist that wasn't human, you can cut all sorts of corners you would not be able to cut otherwise and get away with it. But that's a different kind of book than writing Derelict or writing a long-running series with a lot of characters and a villain that pops in and out. It's just a different animal.
It's like David Weber in writing Honor Harrington. He had an idea of where he was going to have that character exit the series, and it was like 30, 40 books down the road. But then when he got to it, he chickened out.
Yeah, you've mentioned that before.
Fear of lynching will do that to you.
I had somebody actually put a comment on YouTube saying, if you kill Dickerson, I'll never buy anything of yours again. I was just like, oh God, here we go. Just wait 2 more episodes, pal. You're gonna find out what happens.
There's been few characters that I've felt that way about, and then bad things happen to those characters, and I have walked away from a series.
I usually don't take them out. I mar them, I maim them, or do something else horrible to them.
Whatever you do, don't get 6 books into a series right to the conclusion of the entire arc in the last 5 chapters and then fuck it all up.
I tried not to. I hope I didn't. My 465,000 word masterpiece, I hope, had a decent ending.
Not that the author believes that the author fucked it up.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And again, it's always going to be up to the reader's taste. I mean, you're never going to make everybody satisfied with the ending, but there's sticking the landing. There's sticking the landing with some wobble, and then there's falling right on your ass. Don't fall on your ass.
I'm sure if you could think back, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about and what I'm talking about. This may be one of those moments where you have to trim this part out, but I'm thinking of the end of book 6 of Nathan Lowell's.
Okay, yeah.
Where he killed off the love interest of the main character right at the end of the series and just totally fucked it all up. There was a lot of hate going on, and I was certainly happy to contribute my part of that. I was sorely disappointed. I've never read another book by him, never read another thing by him.
Ouch.
I can't trust him. It's one of those things. You go into a series, you have expectations. Now I can no longer trust the author will abide by the contract they've made with me. He doesn't see it that way. And I understand that and I respect that. I just totally disagree. We had him on the show after that event happened, and there was some hammer and tongs back and forth about that.
Yeah, I think you're wrong.
You know,
In fact, I know you're wrong.
I have absolutely been wrong before, but a significant minority of the people where he was posting it had a very similar reaction. And he lost a chunk of readership by doing it.
Yeah, he made
a bold choice.
Yeah, he made a very bold choice, and it didn't work for you.
It didn't work for me, but it worked for others.
Yeah, it worked for others. It's a tough one. Sometimes the story just calls for things to happen. There's a beloved character in Derelict, and I killed that character.
It's because you're a douchebag.
I had to kill that character because of what I wanted to set up. That character needed to go away. Plus, I needed consequences. And I gave that character, I thought, a pretty apt way of going out. It wasn't embarrassing. It was sort of heroic, although it was definitely not Sisyphean, Pyrrhic. And that was just kind of the way that character had to go out. And I got a couple of beta readers who sent back, "You asshole." And somebody else, wrote after they heard that scene on YouTube, they were like, "I'm afraid to read the rest of it because I don't know who else is gonna die." So yeah.
One of the problems with the way Nathan Lowell did that is, even though he says it's not written in the style of a Heinlein juvenile, it was. The same kind of implicit promises that I would have had in a Heinlein juvenile carried over to it. And getting to the end of it and totally destroying the character's world was outside the scope of what I saw as acceptable in that. But he didn't see it that way. He says he never saw it that way. And that's perfectly his decision to make as the author. The readers will tell you if you're wrong.
Oh, yeah, will they? Oh, yeah, will they?
And trust me, he's done just fine without me reading him.
Yes, he has. I'm still waiting for the first hate mail from somebody who finished Derelict. I'm still waiting for the first hate mail. It'll happen. It will happen. There will be somebody who will be pissed. Guaranteed.
It's not in my nature to kill off primary characters. That's not how I roll.
I wasn't even talking about that. I was just talking
I know.
about
I'm just saying that as me, that's just not how I roll as a character.
I don't typically kill off point of view characters. I typically don't. But there are times when I need to, and I will not hesitate. If I need that character to go out, because it would be so unrealistic for them to live in the situation that they're in, I'll take them out. And it adds more stakes for the rest of the characters. Even if they don't know that person went out, it adds stakes to the reader. It changes their expectations. And I think that is kind of sort of good stuff to give at the beginning.
That type of swan song is occasionally useful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And another spoiler for anybody watching it, that's how Daniel Craig went out of the Bond franchise. Because his death meant something. And so he stood there and took it.
Right. And that's another portion of that. And it can be redemptive for characters, at least. If it's not redemptive for the others that know them, it still can be redemptive for them. That kind of thing can be used very, very powerfully.
In this case, his character's survival would have put somebody that he actually loved at risk of death, at serious risk of death. And he made the call to just stand there and let the events take place.
Gotcha. One of these days, you're going to find a story where that POV character needs to go bye-bye.
I don't think so, man.
One of these days.
It's just totally not sure.
One of these days. I don't do it indiscriminately. I don't do it often, but it does happen. And Derelict had no POV characters die. None.
At least you're not, doing the whole Scott Sigler thing and killing off all the point of view characters before the end of the book.
I take that back. There is one point of view character who does die, but they're not really dead. That's all I can say.
All right, then.
You're trying it and you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, those ends are pretty good, man. They put readers on their edge, on the edge of their seat, and keep them reading. Or in Terry's case, piss them off, put down the books, and never read again.
It's like watching season 1 of Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, I love this guy Ned. Oh fuck, his head's gone. That's a problem. Is that going to keep him from showing up in season 2?
Let's make them love these characters and then do terrible things to them.
Oh yeah, yeah. The most awful things happen to the best people in that show.
It's like when I tried to read The Dome because Justin assigned it to us, and within the first 2 chapters, they basically took everybody likable and killed them off. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm done." I refused to read anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I may start a scene where I'm briefly in somebody's head because I want to show the altercation that starts the whole mess, and that person croaks. But I'm not going to hang out with them for 7,000 words and then kill them. That I'm not going to do. I'll give them 1,200 words and kill them. Goddamn right I will. Those people are useful, damn it.
No, you're the kind of bastard that leaves them stuck in like a ruined Antarctic research station with a flamethrower looking over a fire at somebody else that they both think each other is infected with a monster.
That is correct. That is exactly the way I went in the book. That movie is still just in my top 5. It will always be there. Always be there.
I'm not much of a fan of horror, but that one worked.
The thing is,
it worked in ways that Aliens did not.
Well, Aliens is a shoot 'em up. It's more alien in nature. It's a slasher flick. Aliens is not a slasher flick. It's a war movie, essentially. Not a very good war movie, but
say what?
It's much more about a group of people fighting and professional soldiers, I might add, finding an alien menace. This is a different book. The aliens are wandering.
Soldiers. That is not Alien. That may be Aliens, but that is not Alien.
No, that's the one you mentioned though the first time. That's why I'm saying that's a different book.
I wasn't referring to the different versions of the iterations. I'm saying like the first movie in that sequence has some similarities to the other movie.
Yes.
But it doesn't work as well. Alien does not work as well.
For you, maybe.
For me, as that kind of story.
It's just a different feel, different everything to how it is. But they're both slasher flicks. And looking back at this is like my favorite horror movies are all slasher flicks. I just have been in denial that they're all slasher flicks.
Now, speaking of that kind of movie, I hear they're going to have another Evil Dead movie coming out.
Oh God!
Was it Rise of the Evil Dead?
Why? They could be making The Black. They could be making Empire of Bones. They could be making Alan Baxter's The Gulp. They could be making David Wood stuff. They could be making Scott Sigler shit, and yet they're still fucking around with this crap. Come on.
Pretty much.
Fucking clowns. Who needs another goddamn reboot of Scooby fucking Doo? Apparently we do. What's next?
Reggie?
Just wait. They're in California. Just wait till you see the Scooby stacks. Stop up at a dispensary and Scooby and Shaggy come out with armloads. Yeah, that's what's going to happen there. Plus, you're going to have like a kickstart bong in the mystery machine. Which, by the way, looks like something a pedophile would drive.
Yeah, what kind of mystery goes on in that mystery machine?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, oh, that's kind of creepy. Looking at it backwards is like, oh, this is really not a good idea.
They're finally coming out with the new, oh God, what was the franchise? Ghostbuster movie. The one that they put off for a year and a half is finally coming out with the kids.
Afterlife,
yeah. I'm looking forward to that to see what they do, because it's going to give an opportunity to bring some new perspective in there. I'm sad that they didn't, continue with the Lady Ghostbusters. I thought it was okay. Apparently it didn't do well enough financially, and so off they go.
It's okay. It's just another tax write-off. They own the IP. They don't have to do shit.
I need to have my phone ringtone turned to that ambulance.
Oh God, that ambulance sound is so good. It just
I would annoy anybody in public with that phone.
Oh my God, that thing's awful. Thing's awful. It's a horrible sound. No. I'm here to say no, bad Terry, for putting that in my brain. Bad Terry. I just don't know.
I feel no guilt.
I know you feel, and that's part of the problem. You feel absolutely no guilt.
I have no remorse.
Speaking
of no remorse, that's another movie that they did. They made a version of the Tom Clancy movie, No Remorse, the book No Remorse. But other than sharing the name of the movie, I'm told that it really wasn't a Tom Clancy story. It was a revenge story that shared a couple of plot points, and that was it.
Sounds about right. How based in the Cold War, though, was it?
Not at all.
Oh, well, then no excuse. That's shitty. I hate it when they do that.
They only released it earlier this year.
Okay. I hate it when they do that, when they ape the title or the character or whatever else, but really don't follow anything that's there.
I was told that if I go into watching it and I just forget that it was a Tom Clancy novel and just enjoy it for what it is, that I'll be fine. If I go in with any expectation that it's going to be anything to do with the novel, that I'm going to be disappointed. Not because the movie's bad, but because it's just so totally not relatable.
Interesting. I just don't know. I just don't know you anymore.
I'm not sure why you would say that, but sure.
So we calculated what a rod of God would do to Clear Lake.
I'm betting that it would not be fun.
It would empty Clear Lake.
Maybe a good thing that I actually live in League City.
Yeah, it would clear.
I might survive.
It would completely clear Clear Lake. It would drive all the water out of there. Essentially.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't survive that.
It wouldn't cause a spectacular tsunami. It would cause a mini tsunami. But basically, all the water in Clear Lake would either go one of two ways: out into the bay or over the banks, and wash anything there away. I'm thinking Kima Boardwalk. That's what I'm going to wash away.
If you're going to wipe away that, you should go ahead and have it wipe away Johnson Space Center.
Yeah, I've thought about that.
Because it's right there.
I know. But there's something in the water. I'll leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that.
Is that a Twinkie? No, it's not a Twinkie. It's called the Rod of God. It's not a Twinkie.
Yes, it's coming down. Is that a Twinkie on fire? A flaming Twinkie going down. I can't even fathom what that would look like coming down and the sound it would make.
Considering the speed that those things drop at,
the 12,000 miles an hour or some shit.
I'm not sure that it's that high, but I did a calculation once that if something impacted the Earth at orbital speeds, that it would traverse the atmosphere before you could really be aware that it was there.
It would just literally be a flaming spear heading to the ground, right? Because it's moving so fast and so hot, it's setting the air on fire around it.
Pretty much. Remember that the flames are not caused by heat of friction. It's caused by air compression. Basically, the object is shoving the air out of its way, and that compresses the air, and that causes it to heat up.
And it just looks like a flaming spear. God's really pissed. Here, have this.
But remember that the atmosphere is only 100 miles deep, and that's, not all of it is at incredibly high pressure either. So if you've got something coming in at 17,000 miles an hour, you've just got seconds for that to traverse the air. I want to say that I calculated that it was less than 10 seconds, significantly less than 10 seconds.
I'm just wondering what it would sound like if you're 10 miles away, if after the boom, you would hear or before the boom, if you would actually hear that whine or whatever sound that thing would make as it was coming down.
I don't think so. I think they're too close together. I'm not sure that one sound would be separated from the other.
God, that's just terrifying.
It may be a lead-in sort of thing. It may be one sound as part A and then sound part B. But it's going to be so fast.
Yeah, you'd have to get a signal to go look at it. I got to write that book. God damn it. I got to write that book. I figured out what's going to happen. I figured out how to make it work. And now I just need to write the fucking thing. Terry will hate it. It'll be wonderful.
It'll be great.
Well, we've been at this for a while. Should we bring this to a close?
Yeah, I think we should. So 17,000 miles an hour is 283 miles a minute.
Okay.
So if you divide that by seconds, basically just short of 5 miles per second coming through the atmosphere. So that last bit, you could do your calculations from there. You'd have more than 10 seconds to see it coming.
Doesn't mean you'd have any idea what the hell it was.
Yeah.
Holy shit, it's coming right at us.
You probably wouldn't see it until it's 15 or 20 seconds out. And at that point, yeah, go ahead, hide. Quick, jump in this foxhole. You're dead.
You're dead.
like the ending of Rogue One.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I was just talking to Dad. I was like, would that cause a tsunami? And Dad, going calculations, looking at this, and goes, no, not even close. Did the calculations of how many megatons of a nuclear blast it would take to create the kind of tsunami that hit Japan. And a rod of God's not even close. It would take like hundreds.
It doesn't have enough mass.
No, it doesn't have enough mass. Although, I wonder what the debris, if it hits water going at that speed, I wonder what kind of debris what kind of shattering pattern the tungsten would make. You can't tell me it's going to hold together.
Well, it's not, but what makes you think there would be anything bigger than something molecular left over from that impact?
I don't know. That's what I was asking. Is like, is it going to zip around molecules atoms of
hitting
that
at that speed with that much energy? It's going to be vaporized. It's not going to have any solid pieces left.
Oh man. It'd be interesting to see how you could create a fragmentation device out of something like that. But you don't really need it.
They're still digging, some fragments out of around the edges of the Chicxulub crater. So something can survive. It just may not be most of it.
No, it's not. No. I would just think tungsten would completely shatter because it's basically like hitting.
Somebody going to write something pithy on the side of it, like they used to do back in the war.
I was thinking about that myself. If there is such a thing as a rod of God satellite up there, do those titanium rods have any wording on them?
Because in Afghanistan they would write pithy things on.
Well, World War II they do that.
Yeah, it's something that happens. So there may be something pithy that you can have written on the side of that rod of God.
I can see it. I can completely see it. All sorts of signatures on there of all the people who worked on there. Maybe some decals.
To whom it may concern.
If you're reading this, we fucked up. Because you shouldn't be reading this.
Dear Mom.
Dear Mom. Remember how I said I didn't like broccoli casserole? Well, here's for the broccoli casserole. I can see this happening. Well, if you have a comment to add about the nonsense that we discussed in this show, you can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can tweet me at Paul_E_Cooley. You can find us on Facebook at the Listeners of the Dead Robot Society Facebook group, where Terry wrangles everything. We have to thank our wonderful host, Pod Hoster, who makes all 14,000 bazillion episodes of the Dead Robot Society available for your ear holes. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRS podcast to see our ugly mugs and way too damn many cats. And also watch us drink coffee for a couple hours. If you want to support the show, you can join us at patreon.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get access to exclusive live shows, mostly unexpurgated shows, if Terry will ever shut the fuck up, and that kind of thing. And at the $10 level, my God, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are Summer Wilson, Tony L. Joy, Andrew Smallwood, Veronica Jaguar, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Chris Winder, and Isabel Cushy. Thank you, patrons, to all of our patrons for your support. You make this show possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You know what else makes this show possible? That's right. Corpse Coffee. Terry and I are caffeine junkies, and the only thing that keeps us writing and keeps us talking and keeps us mobile is the wonderful brew that Corpse Coffee makes. Go up there, check out their website at corpsecoffee.com. Check out their boutique teas and coffees. Check out their cool webcomic. Tell them the DRS crew sent you. Go to corpsecoffee.com and put the dead in your cup. Oh, Terry's having some cold coffee, I see. Yeah. And with that, we are out of here. We'll talk to you next time.
Aloha.